Okay, we are now ready to build our first Google form so that we can use it to observe our students and do some skill assessment. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up our Google Drive. If you're not here already, go ahead and get there. And once you're there, you're going to click on New, and you're going to go down to More, and you're going to select Google Forms. That's going to open up a blank form. And the first thing I do when I get to a blank form is I have to give it a name or a title. And since I teach elementary school, I typically name all of my classes after the classroom teacher. So let's pretend this is third grade. Miss Johnson. All right. Now, if you're a middle school or secondary teacher, you could name it by class period, or however else you do it, second hour. That'll be totally up to you. The next step you take after naming your form is you're going to go down to the very first question here where it says untitled question, and we're going to type in the words assessed skill. All right. You notice that it changed to a short answer. Now for this question, we want to keep the required toggle switch on because this is definitely a question that we need to answer every time we use this form. So depending on the skill that we're happen to be observing or the unit that we're working on, you're going to want a spot to put which skill you're assessing. Now the final part to this form building process is adding one final question by clicking the plus button here. And we're going to do two things to this question. Number one, we're going to select the question type and we're going to change it to multiple choice grid. And then the second thing that we're going to do to this question is toggle the required response button to the off position. And the reason I have it set to the off position is because if you have a large class, let's say, and you don't have time to get through every single student in a given period, then you can save the assessment observations that you did do, and you can always go back and pick up where you left off later on. If you left it as a required response, you would have to actually observe every single student in the class before you could submit those responses. So depending on your situation, you may want to keep that on or off. I'm going to leave that up to you. Now that we have these rows and columns here, the rows are going to be where our student names are going to go. So we're going to put in our class list over here. And the column section is going to be designed to build our grading rubric around. And we'll add our grading rubric right here under the columns. So we'll do the students first. Click on row 1. And instead of having instead of typing in all the students manually, which would take us forever because I have over 500 kids, I'm just going to use a digital copy here that I've got on a spreadsheet. I've already got it highlighted here. So I'm going to copy this list of students, and I'm going to go back to the form. And in this row, right here in row 1, I'm going to paste all of the student names right here on row 1. Now you see that it automatically populated so that one student is on each line, which is awesome because that saves me a ton of time. Now the students are in the form. I'm going to go over to the column and put in my grading rubric. Now in my district, we're on a 3-point scale. So I'm going to do a 3, a 2, and a 1. Now I also add in an NA for not assessed because you may have a student that's absent that day or they're gone, so they weren't present to take the assessment. And I add one other column on medical, just in case I have a kid who is out for a medical reason and can't participate in the assessment. That way I have note of that. And that is it. My form is now done, and I'm ready to go up and start using it.